Morning, gang. I think it's Sunday, beginning of April sometime. I don't know. The days are all blurring together. But I thought it might be interesting for one of our assignments for you to put together a homeowner's toolbox or something that you would use and keep in your basement or garage somewhere in the event that you need to fix something. So I thought a good catalyst for this would be to show you what's in my toolbox. Obviously, I have like probably more tools than the average bear. But there is one toolbox that I have. It is my go-to, which is this Popular Mechanics plastic guy right here. And anytime I get a call from like a family member or something in the house breaks or something, this is the one I grab because it has pretty much everything that I would need to fix pretty much most things. It's plastic, which means it's rugged and you could drop it. The only problem could be that I guess it could crack or something, but it's really, really rugged. They still sell these at Home Depot and Lowe's and stuff like that. It's not huge, so it doesn't end up weighing 50 pounds. So you can easily pick it up and carry it around, even when it's full. And you don't have the added weight of a metal box. I like these little plastic guys, which allow you to keep extra screws, little bits of things and stuff that you might come across and you might need. So it's good to keep a handful of those around. This one has extra bits and razor blades and stuff like that. Just it's full of sawdust. Alright, so I'll go through what I have in my toolbox and hopefully give you a good idea of what you might need in yours. Okay, so first thing you're probably going to need is relatively basic hand tools, right? So I have a straight back claw hammer and a couple of screwdrivers, and these are obviously like mismatched and they're not a set. I don't even know where I got them because they're just in this box, so whether they match or not, they're not the fancy ones that you leave out for company. I don't know. So a Phillips head and a flathead screwdriver are probably like your go-to sorts of things. Also, you're going to need a decent quality, probably a metal tape measure. This is a 25 foot, which is probably more than enough for most of the things you're doing. And I have found that really comes in handy as well is a flashlight. And I don't utilize this often enough to get like a mag light or like a really nice flashlight. So I bought the cheapest, it's probably on Amazon, hand crank flashlight. It doesn't have any batteries. It's this dynamo sort of thing. So as you crank it, it powers it and you can see. So it doesn't ever have batteries that need to be replaced. It's not going to die in the middle of a job or anything like that. If it does break or get smashed or stepped on or whatever, it was probably $10 or something on Amazon. So that's a good one to have as well. The other thing I would suggest is a good set of gloves. These are like the crappy leather ones that you could get at like a local Home Depot or Lowe's or something. These work fine. They're relatively rugged. They have like elastic wrist things and Velcro. The only thing I've found I don't like about these is if your hands get wet at all, like either through sweat or because it's raining out, or you're doing plumbing and it's just wet, they turn your hands black. I don't know why that is. I don't know what is wrong with these things, but you take them off and from like the wrist down, your hands are just stained black. So they're not great, but to live in this box is not a bad thing for them either. Let's see, so you're also going to need a couple of measuring sorts of things. So in here I also have a square, and I got the plastic square, which isn't super accurate, but good enough for most of the things I'm doing. I'm not building the space shuttle, and it's super lightweight, so stuffing it in here, and it has to live kind of up against the back because it's small enough to fit in that way. That one's a good one to have, just so you can lay things out and measure stuff and do things like that. You're going to need a couple of pencils to go with that. So in the bottom of this box, I'm finding a couple of like random pencil-y type things. Problem with pencils, they always fall to the bottom. I have a Sharpie in here too, which isn't a bad idea either, right? So a bunch of writing utensils to go with your marking things. I am finding another headlight in here. So this one's great. However, you have to utilize a hand to hold it unless you can clip it to something overhead. The headlight is not a bad idea because then you can wear it and it will look where you're looking, and if you're working on a car late at night or something outside in the dark, or thunderstorm or the lights go out and you have to work on the fuse panel or something like that, this is not a bad thing to have either. Now, I keep picking these three up because they take up half the stupid box, but they are very important. This one, which you can tell by the age of this thing, is beat to death, is all the bits and drivers you could possibly ever need. Over time I've had to replace some of them because I lose them or drop them in the mud or whatever. And it has a bit holder for a drill. My drill isn't in here right now, it's charging over there. But all the little flathead and star bits and all that sort of stuff, no matter what you come across, is probably in this guy. And you could probably pick one of these up at Harbor Freight or something pretty cheap. The other two, and they're the same, so I actually wrote on which one is drill bits and which one isn't. This one is also a Phillips driver, and all the drill bits from like a 16 inch to a 3/8 of an inch. So if you had to pre-drill a hole or something like that, you've got them. So that's a good one. And this one is also some like more specialty bits, like some extra long ones, some impact driver ones, and another driver guy in the event that that red one doesn't have what I need. So I guess I could probably condense the red one and this one into one box and save myself a little space in here, but for right now it's not the end of the world. And so those are very helpful. I also have an extra set because when I worked in remodeling homes and stuff like that, we would burn through little drill bits and stuff. If somebody was missing them, it's nice to have an extra you could loan them. Okay. So other jobs you might come across and need tooling for. So I have a gaggle of pliers and cutters, and I can explain what these are as we go. Here's another one, slightly different. What I did for this. Oh, okay. So if you're doing any sort of plumbing or any, probably just plumbing to be honest with you, you're gonna need a decent set of channel locks. These just open real wide and allow you to work on, 2-inch pipe or whatever under a sink or under the dishwasher or something like that. So these are really good to have. And adjustable. These are not expensive or anything, but you can find a relatively decent set at like Harbor Freight or even like Home Depot or something for $10. Not a big deal. You're probably going to need a pair of regular pliers here. These are also adjustable, so you can get some bigger stuff in the jaws. They're not as big or as good as the channel locks, but sometimes you just need to grab onto a bolt or something that you got something broken off of. Okay, so those are good to have. And these are actually relatively big, which I find is more helpful than the smaller ones. In terms of smaller ones, you're going to need a pair of needle nose, a pair of like diagonal cutters, right? And then a pair, I have actually two pairs here, of actual cutters. I don't know if you can see the difference here. So this would be your needle nose, right? So if you're doing electrical, replacing a light switch or something like that, these come in real handy. These guys are slightly different, but they do have a cutting jaw at the bottom and grabbing at the top. And then these are just cutters. So if you're using, like you're doing zip ties or something, you can cut these. You're cutting electrical wire. These are spring-loaded, which is kind of cool. Saves your hands a little bit. And these aren't, but that's okay. Okay, let's see. I have a flat bar for when I'm removing stuff or taking anything apart, so that's good to have. It goes really well with your hammer. I have a couple of knives in here. So a utility knife with a replaceable razor blade, and a pocket knife in the event that all of my screwdrivers or whatever I'm doing aren't appropriate. I have bottle openers and can openers and little screwdrivers and stuff. But that lives in here as well. Speaking of little screwdrivers, I have a set of micro screwdrivers, which you can tell is just beat to death. These little plastic boxes just never last. But they have those very small micro screwdrivers in them, so if you need to, work on something very small, or doing a little electrical work or something, this is a good thing to have as well. Other random stuff that's floating around in here, it seems I have another flathead screwdriver. Another mismatch set. I have two chisels. This one, the cover is falling off. So these are really crappy plastic, but you can beat on the ends chisels. So these are not for like fine woodworking or anything. They don't even look that sharp. But if you had to do some demo work or something, these aren't a bad thing to have. And I have plastic covers on the ends, so they're not floating around cutting you while I try to dig through my box for other stuff. I have a little tiny flat bar. This thing surprisingly comes in handy. You can get it in a lot smaller spaces than this big flat bar, and it's got some different angles on it so that you can pull trim away maybe, or you can get in underneath something and pop it up. Or I find you can actually, when you're setting a door, you can put this under the door and step on the end, and it'll actually pick up the door while you're putting the hinges and stuff on it. Let's see. The box is now top heavy. It's not heavy. Let's see. I have a ratchet in here, which is probably left over from another job because I don't have any actual sockets in here, so that's not helpful at all. It's just extra weight. I do have, you should get one of these. These little electrical test guys, they are battery powered, so the batteries will eventually go. But if you touch a wire that has voltage going through it, like this one here, alright, it beeps and lights up and everything, so it tells you if that line is live or not. Super helpful if you're replacing outlets or whatever, you're trying to turn off the right fuse for the right part of the house. I probably have 2 or 3 of these floating around, but having one in your toolbox is not a bad idea before you go sticking your hands in things that you don't know if it's live or not. To go with that, obviously electrical tape, because I do a bunch of electrical work around the house. Ooh, I found another pencil. I had a student give me this pencil. Check this out. So it's on a retractable doodad here, and you can replace the pencil, so I've actually used that quite often with my writing utensils. I have a receipt from Home Depot, because that's very important to keep. Another driver, not sure why, another pencil floating around here. These guys, these are like those scissors that can cut pennies in half. I would highly suggest these. I don't use them often, but when you have to cut something that this can't cut it, like insulation or, I don't know, tiles, those like crappy like plastic tiles and stuff like that, or you need to, I don't know, these are super awesome to have, and they lock closed, they're not in there cutting things and wearing out. I can feel they're covered in fiberglass, so I'll have to wash my hands when I'm done here, but those are a good thing to have. And then other than that, it's just like little bits of things. It's a couple of zip ties for fixing things, a short length of electrical wire, in case I was making pigtails for something, and then a bunch of sawdust and garbage. So that's what's in my toolbox. Some measuring things, some banging and opening things, some cutting things, plier type things, gloves and flashlights and stuff, and test pieces so I don't get electrocuted. Other than that, that'd be probably about it. I'd be interested in what is in your toolbox at home. I'm going to see if I can get Darren and Connor to make the same sort of video for us. Maybe we'll get Miss Gray. I wonder what's in her toolbox, if it's the same stuff or different. Let's see what people come up with, alright? See you later.